Order up! Welcome to a brand new episode of the Order Up Podcast, wherever you may listen to your podcast. Of course, I am Taryn Williams, and on this episode of the podcast, I wanted to talk about a cartoon that I just finished. I can't talk right now. I just finished on Netflix, and it's actually really good. I actually remember when they kind of announced it, and I'm like, okay, that'd be cool. I just never got into it, and a couple of months ago, I finally started watching it. I was binge watching it for a few weeks, and we're done. So again, if you check out the title of this episode, we're going to be talking about The Dragon Prince on Netflix. So, right off the bat, The Dragon Prince is actually the newest cartoon from the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender from Nickelodeon, which is considered one of the greatest cartoons of all time. It's easily probably the best cartoon of the past decade. So, you got to get Avatar a lot of love. And this is from the same creators of that. And there's kind of the feeling of Avatar in it. So one of the cool things that they did with the Dragon Prince was there's like an Avatar every season is a book, and every episode is a chapter in that book, which is cool. I thought that was a very nice flair to keep that from Avatar. I thought that was very nice design choice. So instead of it feeling just like every other cartoon where there's episodes and the seasons, it's a book. And after you finish a season, you completed a book. You go to the new book. It's just kind of nice. It has a very good feel to it. It flows very well as kind of a systematic method of getting through a series. So, in the Dragon Prince, we follow a couple of characters. I had to make sure I had to look up the wiki because I needed to make sure I knew everybody's names. Where like you hear their names in the show, but you couldn't remember it. So the basic story of the Dragon Prince is there's Zadia, which is this big continent. It's full of magic. There are actually 6 primal elements: sun, moon, stars, earth, sky, ocean. So those are the 6 main primal elements of magic in the show. However, humans can't use magic, so humans introduced the 7th one, which is forbidden, which is dark magic. And to do dark magic, you have to take a living thing or something from a living thing, possess it, and it becomes dark magic. So humans can't use regular magic, but they have to use dark magic in order to kind of actually be magical. And then there's also, I can't think of the name of it. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. It's like a primal stone. This is what it's called, something like that. Where that had like the harness the power of the sky element, and then humans could actually use magic through that. But those items are very, very rare. And so we kind of get introduced, like the first part of the episode, or actually the first part of the show is actually very slow. The first few episodes are super slow. They're kind of a drag a little bit because you're kind of like, you kind of meet the characters, you kind of get the general idea, the plot of the show for the most part. But by the end of the first season, book 1, the series kind of changes and it kind of keeps changing, which is really cool. It's a little bit slower, so you kind of follow the story. You're in Catalyst, which is I guess one of the bigger kingdoms for humankind, not mankind, but humankind in the world. And we meet Prince Harold, who is or not Prince Harold, King Harold, who is the king, or King Harold. That was Harold, like, okay, dead ass. I thought his name was Harold, but it's King Harrow, like Harrow, like Sparrow. So it's King Harold. You meet him, you meet his 2 sons, Ezrin and Callum. Callum is his stepson, Ezrin is his full blood son. So Callum and Ezrin have the same mom, different dads. Cool. I thought that was kind of a cool thing, just because mixed families are becoming more and more common. It's kind of cool having to show a cartoon at that, so kids will probably watch it, or even adults that can kind of relate to having a mixed family. I thought that was really cool. That was a very nice touch. So shout out to them. And so you meet them. You meet Ezrin, who's just, I think Ezrin's like 10, and then Callum's 14. You kind of meet them, Ezra's kind of sneaking off, eating pastries and stuff like that with his glow toad. Bait's one of the best characters in the show, bar none. I'll talk more about Bait later. Amy Callum, who's again a little older. He's getting a little bit of night training, so he gets some sword training. I guess he does sword training every day, but he's kind of goofy, kind of clunky. Like, it's not his thing. You could tell, like, you could tell they're going to be the 2 probably main protagonists because they're the sons and something's going to happen. You can kind of tell it. A lot of the storytelling in Dragon Prince, you've probably seen in other mediums and things like that. But they still do a good job of telling their story, and eventually the story picks up, gets a little bit more interesting and things like that. But early on, it's very straightforward. So you meet the 2 sons. You meet Viren, who is the king's right hand, who's his right hand. He's his top mage. I don't know what his other name was. I think he had an actual proper name, but he was his top mage. Basically, you meet his two sons, Soren, who's the leader of the King's Guard, who are vowed to protect the king, who's his son, and you meet Claudia, who's his daughter, who's also a mage, also studying magic and things like that. So you meet those two. Those are his kids, and then you kind of meet and you start meeting some of the other like nonchalant character or some of the other like NPCs, if you will, from RPG. Excuse me. And you just kind of meet them. You kind of meet the world, see the city, things like that. You kind of meet Harrow and just kind of get an idea of how he is, how he loves his sons, and things like that. But right after, it's like very early in the first episode. Also, before I continue, spoiler alert for the entire series of the Dragon Prince. I'm not sure how much I want to talk about. I'll probably try to hit at least the 3 books because there's only 3 seasons up right now. So I'll probably try to hit a little bit of all of them. So definitely spoiler alert. I'll put spoiler alert in the title. Spoiler alert. If you want to watch the series, please pause this podcast, binge watch it, and come back to this podcast. The podcast will be here for you. I promise. And so, and you kind of, I think it's either at the very beginning of the episode or just a few minutes in, but you see like these assassins in the woods or whatever. There's like a knight walking around the forest. You see these assassins come out. He sees them. And you learn that they're Moon Knight elves, Moon Knight elves. You learn that they're who they are. So they send one of their assassins out to get him, and she has him cornered. He falls. She's supposed to kill him, so they'll never know their existence. She can't stomach it. Like, she just lets him go. And of course, he goes and tells the kingdom, hey, there's Moon Knight elves in the forest. Oh, we're gonna be under attack really soon. And, it's messed up. And so you go through it. And that little scene is actually referenced at the end of season 3, book 3, which is really cool, which I'll talk back later. So that kind of scene is referenced again at the end, or towards the end of season 3. And so then, of course, like, the elves realize she let him go because they realize, like, their troops, their pattern changed and things like that. Find out that she let him go. You find out her name is Rayla. She's one of the main protagonists. You've seen her in some of the trailers and stuff like that. So you meet Rayla. You see kind of they're like disappointing her, like, oh, like, you have to stay with this mission, like, on her own. You stay and think about what you've done. And she's kind of like, F that. I'm going to go help and I can set things right. So you see that happening with the Moon Knight elves, and you go back to the castle. Everyone's getting King Harold ready for to come and assault. Like, they're coming to assassinate you. It's a full moon that night. So full moons mean that Moon Knight elves, they get like amplified. They get their skills and powers amplified by like 10 times. They get super strong. They're almost unbeatable. There's only like 5 or 6 of them total. So that's a lot. Like, that could take out a whole army. And so the castle's like, all right, we got to go on lockdown. We got to protect, the princes and things like that. So the king, sends them away to like their summer cabin, basically. That's the idea. They're supposed to send them to their summer cabin. And they, at first, they get sent out. They're gonna go, but then they end up like kind of staying, and Ezra runs away because he's scared, and like he kind of runs away from his responsibilities. And they also pay that off later. Calvin's like, "Hey, bro, we gotta go." So there's a lot of hustle and bustle and things like that. And they ended up, and so they ended up running into Rayla. Sneaks into the castle, finds them, it's coming after them. And they kind of fighting and running from Rayla through most of the first episode. I'm gonna blend in like most of season 1. This is like really the first 2 episodes, maybe. This is like the first couple episodes kind of rolled into one I'm about to talk about. And so they get through, Rayla coming through. She tries to get them. They fight. They fall down into this lair, like this underground place under the kingdom. Like, what is this? What's going on? And what they find the egg of the Dragon Prince. And that sets off basically the whole show. They find the egg of the Dragon Prince. Claudia comes, finds them, and they're like, because Rayla's like, holy shit, the egg is still here. The rumor or the story went the egg was killed, so the Dragon Prince didn't exist. However, the egg's been hidden under the castle in Cathalas, keep saying that wrong, for years, and now it's here. So Dragon Prince lives, the most powerful being who could grow up to be the most powerful being in the whole world is right there in an egg. Ezrin and Callum, they end up leaving the castle. They end up like kind of knocking. I don't think they not Claudia out, but they kind of like juke her and leave. And they end up leaving. They say we're gonna take the egg back to Zadia, back to the Dragon Queen, and they leave the castle. So they're kind of on the move, and they're leaving with Rayla. So it's two humans, elf, and a dragon egg. So that kind of sets them on their main quest of, okay, we gotta get this egg back to Zadia. And that's basically kind of what the whole first season really is. And then you start getting a lot of character development over time of the characters and things like that, where Callum goes from being this kind of clumsy, like, the clumsy kind of oaf, kind of goofy character, but you realize he has a lot more will and he's way more determined than you think he is. And he starts to develop, and he has like the little, I keep forgetting what it's called. I'm gonna call it the Philosopher's Stone. That's not what it is, but I think it's like a primal stone. I think it's what it's called, like the primal orb, to do sky magic. So he's using that, learning magic. Really, he feels connected to it. He also can draw. He also has very good comic relief. The entire show has very good comic relief. Everybody, Rayla is like, after you start to get to know Rayla. Rayla is super goofy. Um, Ezrin has really good comic, but the best comic of all in the whole show is Bait. Bait is such a great character. He's just a glow toad. He doesn't say. He just kind of grunts and snarls and stuff like that. And one of the cool things is he actually changes colors for different emotions. So when he happy, when he happy, but when he's happy, he'll be like a different color. When he's sick, if he's depressed, if he's angry, if he's sad, if he's lonely, he changes colors to represent those different emotions. He just has perfect, like, just how they designed him to just be this comedic outlet just randomly. Like, it's so random, but so well timed and well played. And he doesn't say a word. He just grunts and snarls. But when you see him come on the screen, you understand what he's doing and you represent. It's very clever and very well designed. And he's a very great this comedic outlet for them. And the entire crew is actually goofy. Ezra's the youngest, so of course he's kind of whimsical and things like that. You actually learn Ezra can talk to animals, which is why him and Bait have such a good relationship. But you find out a little bit later on in season 1 he can talk to animals. Because at first Callum's like, "No, you can't, stop being a little kid." And Ezra's like, "I can't," and he runs away. And Callum's like, "Fuck, I didn't mean to do that." But then eventually I forget what happened, but they realize, holy crap, he can talk to animals. And so that's really cool. So he kind of develops a skill. And you go through season 1, the egg actually is dying. And the egg is kind of losing its life force. It's starting to die. And the only way to actually save the egg is to hatch it. So they get to the top they end up meeting someone else. They end up, Elia and her wolf. Ellis. Ellis is her name. You meet Ellis and her 3-legged, tall, dog wolf, dire wolf thing, who's super nice. Who's Ava. So Ellis and Ava. Ava's super dope too, though. So they get to this mountain. They get to this. I forget the name of it, but they finally get to the top of this mountain, and there's supposed to be like this metal. There's supposed to be a healer or like a magic healer, but it's just another moonshadow elf who's good with illusions. And you meet her, Lujana. You meet Lujana, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't really heal you. It's just an illusion. You didn't really need to be healed." Because Ava had 4 legs. Like, she had to get amputated, so she lost a leg. So she had 3 legs. But she was kind of like ridiculed and like, oh, like she doesn't matter, and get rid of her. She won't be happy and things like that. Then ended up going to the top of this mountain, met Lujana. She gave Ava an illusionary 4th leg so she could cope. So people, so she can build her confidence and cope. But she never really needed it. So she go back to being 3 legs. And they get to the top of the mountain and everything, and the life force of the egg is going down. They're trying to figure, okay, how do we hatch a dragon egg? And then Callum comes up with the idea. He takes the primal stone that he had, the primal orb that has the sky magic in it, and breaks it. This big egg, because what's the sky dragon can only be born in the eye of a storm. He breaks it. This massive storm hits. All this stuff is happening. It's crazy. And then, the egg, like, it stops. And they're like, oh, crap. It's not going to happen. Then after the storm goes and things like that, a couple of minutes, the egg hatches. And we have Ozymandias, the Dragon Prince, and that's how season 1 ends. Super dope moment. It was really cool. And Ozymandias is just, I need to get his pop figure. But it's just a very dope, just a cool moment. And the more, even though I wasn't, I didn't know that was the end of book 1, but you can kind of tell that was the end of book 1. It made sense to be the end there. And so season 2 starts. They're still on the mountain with her. They're still, and then you actually meet Claudia and Soren. Actually, they actually followed them to where they were, because Viren told them to bring back he told them to bring back the egg, bring back the princes. But really, he said bring back the egg, kill the princes. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He told Soren to kill the princes if he had to. He told Claudia to bring back the egg at all costs. So they both have like these hidden missions from their dad. You know Viren's a bad guy, and then they start kind of teasing us some other stuff where he has this big ass mirror. He's trying to figure out what it does, and it's powerful. So most of season 2 is that mirror, and then eventually he figures out how the mirror works, and things like that. And then season 2 is them now. They gotta get Zim Ozymandias, aka Zim, to Zadia for real. And that episode is just more character growth. Callum really wants to learn magic, but all humans can't learn magic and things like that. Rayla, she tries to get another part of the season when Rayla has these bands that are connected. Is a bond, it's kind of like a blood oath basically. It's a bond to like your mission. When because King Hero was assassinated, one band fell off, but she was supposed to kill the princes, and that one stayed on her wrist. The longer it stays on her wrist, her hand would go numb, turn purple. Eventually, she had to cut it off. She would lose her hand. But when Zim was born, Zim saw it, and Zim actually bit the band off of it. So she got a chance to use her left hand again, I think? Her right hand? I don't remember. But yeah, that's really cool. Also, in season 1, we met one of my favorite characters of the entire show. Their aunt, Ezrin and Callum's aunt, Amaya, so dope. She's deaf, so she uses sign language, which is also a really cool medium. Just to have a character that's a complete badass use sign language was so dope. And even though she can't talk, again, her facial expressions, some of the things, her body language, she was comic relief too in certain spots. And her, Kern, I think is his name, Quinn, her guard, her right hand person. What is his name? As I look for it, really quickly. Grin, Commander Grin. That was her, like her signer. And they end up breaking up, and she ends up having to go on a mission, sends him on the mission. But even though Maya can't talk, she does a lot with her body language and everything like that. A really good character, and just a badass. She has a big ass shield, not Captain America, but this is in medieval time, so just a big ass brigade shield, like a battalion shield. There we go. So season 2, they trying to get through. They gotta try to get Zim to Zadia, things like that. They're trying to do that. Eventually, they end up splitting up, and it's really cool. Like they end up splitting up because there's somebody who's tracking them. Kind of find out he's not actually trying to kill them. Their aunt sent them to go find the princes, and he's really cool. He's actually pretty dope. Also, there's a lot of black people in this cartoon, which I appreciate. So yeah, you send, what is his name? His name. I see it. Corvus. She sends Corvus out to go find him, and he runs into Rayla. They fight earlier in season 1. Eventually, go through season 2. He finds them again, but he's coming to protect them, or he's just coming to protect them because he came to serve the kings. They actually fight, or Soren actually brings down a dragon. That happens. But and also what happens is in season, I'm trying to think, was it in season 1, season 2? I think it was like kind of in the halfway point between season 1 and season 2. Callum finds out that King Hero is dead. Their dad died, or he finds out in end of season 1 going to season 2. He finds out, and Rayla she just couldn't tell her, and he was mad at Rayla for a while. But going through season 2, what ends up happening is that Ezrin finds out. So they get into, I forget what happens, but Callum uses dark magic. He's that reminds for the first time. He goes into this coma. He's out for the whole episode pretty much. And then I forget how Ezrin finds out. Oh, because Rayla's band. He picks up on, oh yeah, you had 2 bands. Zim took off one, so what happened to the other one? Because one of your missions was to kill us, but you didn't do that. So what happened? And then he puts together like, oh, my dad died, and he just hates to walk and goes and things like that, and he just kind of chills. And then he kind of realizes that, hey, you know what? I need to go back to the king. I gotta go back to the kingdom. I gotta take my place on the throne. So he leaves them. So him and Bait and Corvus goes back to the kingdom, and then Callum and Rayla and Zim keeps going over into Zadia. And that's kind of a lot of season 2 was you get back to Ezra trying to be a young king and trying to figure it out. At this point, Viren gets the magic mirror working. He figures that out. He's trying to rally the kingdom, all the human kingdoms, to go into Zadia and raise this war. But at first they weren't budge, like they weren't about that life. Because the young queen in one of the other kingdoms, I forget her name, but she's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna have my people fight. Like, f that." And he's like, "What? We gotta do this." So with the power of his dark magic, he sends out these black shadow assassins into the kingdoms, and then they go kill off the different leaders in different kingdoms to kind of prematurely start this war. Ezra becomes king. He goes through some of the things that he has to go through. He doesn't wear the crown because he doesn't feel ready for it, and just he's a kid, so he's trying to say like peace, like we don't have to do this. We can be peaceful. And everybody's like, "You're crazy. We have to fight. We need to fight." One of the sons from one of the other kingdoms come. He's like, "Bro, we gotta fight. Like I don't know this peace thing you're talking about. We gotta go do this." And so they kind of get into it. They have this spat. He walks away. Viren's actually in jail at this time because they actually find out he's trying to like usurp the throne and all this stuff, and like he did some illegal shit. So he gets thrown in jail. It was all part of his master plan with his new elf friend from the mirror, who he realizes is a very badass mage. And they have this plan. He gets thrown in jail or whatever. One of the I'm trying to think, like one of his counselors or whatever paid off a guard. They go down there to talk to Viren with the young prince who was mad and stormed off. I guess they come up with this plan to kind of coup the system, or to coup to kind of coup the throne. And it's basically Viren and Ezra switch spots where Ezra will go to jail, Viren will take over the throne, and that's what happens. So Viren now is King Viren, the whole thing he always wanted. Ezra gets thrown in jail. However, he's not in jail for long because he gets broken out by the squad. Bait comes in with them and helps him out. Corvus comes, one of his other counselors who's on the good side, and Soren even helps them out because Soren really like his dad's on BS, but he doesn't really know what. So we go through that. Then of course the team gets back together. Squad goes. They get back together, and they go into season 2, and they kind of go into Zeta, and you fight. Like you meet some of the dragon characters and things like that. You meet the Sunfire elves, which are my personal favorite elves, because again, for the culture, Black Power all the way. So you meet them, basically, and then you go into season 3, which is the one that I really like. I actually forget how season 2 actually ended, but season 3 I think was really good, and it really showed what they had planned. Because basically, Callum actually learns magic. He's the first human ever to learn how to use primal magic, straight up, no cap. Like he does that. Rayla and Callum actually become an item. They actually fall in love, which I love that part just because Callum was kind of weird about it, and Rayla was kind of weird about it. And then they were like riding on horseback trying to get Zim back. And she's like, "Hold on to my waist." And Callum's like, "Oh, you sure?" She's like, "Yes, come on down." So it's just kind of, they go back and forth a little bit. Then they end up getting together. And they actually play it off very, very well. Like, this is a really goofy moment where they're walking up this mountain. And they're like, "Oh, like, should we tell the Dragon Queen about our love?" And she's like, "Callum, I don't think she cares. Oh, our forbidden." It's really funny because it's something that you would probably have with someone. Like, if you're with somebody, you have a really good time. Something that you would probably do with somebody. It was very nice. It felt very human and very genuine. It didn't feel forced. It was kind of goofy, but not awkward. It was that fun, awkward thing that you would probably do in real life. So yeah, so they're going through all of this, and they realize, Viren's like on a tear. Like he actually made it into Zadia. He tells the story of how the Dragon King was killed and how Harold's wife died. Who, just he kind of tells a lot of backstory. Seems like you get a lot of backstory to explain kind of a lot of the things for what's going to happen in the last few episodes of the season. They get to the tower or they actually get right in front of the tower or the spire where the Dragon Queen is. Ezrin's back, explains to them like, "Yeah, I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend." Uh, but Ezra's back. The squad is back together. They're like, okay, we're gonna get Zim to his mom. So they climb the mountain. They climb the mountain. They have to use magic to keep going because they lose their breath. Viren attacks the Sunfire Elves and takes their magical powers. He turns his army into a bunch of molten lava Pokemon. Basically, they all became fuck Magmar for Pokemon. Basically, they just see an army of Magmar for the most part. And Thorin's kind of like, you know what, f this. Like he leaves because he realizes his dad's a villain. So he meets them there, tells them like what's happened. They meet another Moon Knight elf who can fly, who has like the skills to fly. And Callum's like, "Hey, teach me how to do that." He's like, "I can't teach you. Humans can't learn magic." Callum's like, "I bet." He does like his sky spell, and the elf is like, "This is impossible." And he's like, "I've been hearing that a lot." So season 3 is basically their big battle. They get everything together. They get they decide, should we run or should we fight? The squad decides, okay, we gotta stand here and fight. So okay, let's go get some help. Ezra goes get some help. The elf goes get some help, and then they kind of come up with this game plan of how they're gonna like attack it. Amaya ends up meeting them there with the Sunfire Elves. So dope. So Amaya and Callum have this moment where they're sign language and having a good time. And so this is really big battle. It's a very good last episode for season 3. Very good. With a very good cliffhanger ending. And I really like the show. So I guess I should tell you how the battle or just so Viren attacks, they have this plan. They hold them off for a little bit. Ezra brings dragons, so you get dragon fire. But of course, since this army is basically just Magmar, the fire inspires them. Or just, they take the fire, get like stronger, and it's like, fuck, what can we do? They're fighting off for a little bit. And then the little girl, the other queen, the little girl queen from the other kingdom comes, and she brings Corvus. She brings like some of the other people from Katalas and everything, and they just come in, or they shoot a bunch of arrows in the sky, and the sky turns black, hits everything, and they just clean house, and they just go crazy, and then they win the battle. And so one of the cool little things I like, you remember earlier I was telling you about the guy that Rayla didn't kill? Well, he didn't want to fight in this war when like there was a part where Viren was telling the army that, oh hey, you don't have to fight if you don't want to, but you'll be marked like a traitor. So the one of the first people that betrayed Viren was the same night that Rayla spared. And so in season 3 at the end, you meet him like, he's kind of banged up, one else helps him up. He's like, "Thank you. My name is Hector." That was such a cool moment because it plays back to he'll support them since elf spared him. So he realized, okay, all elves aren't bad, and when Ezra didn't want to fight, he backed Ezra because he was like, okay, they're not like these murderous creatures. So I thought that was cool. This Hector saying his name and being kind of helped up by an elf. Very nice callback to the first season. Very nice, very dope. I appreciated it personally. So you have that happen. Claudia, like Soren stabs Viren, or he thinks he does. He stabs him. He loses his mind. Claudia's like, "What have you done?" We realize it's a trick. So you find out that Viren actually made it to the top of the mountain. He's trying to get Zim. Zim tries to fly away. Viren uses a spell to capture him. He fights Rayla. He kind of bats Rayla off. And then Rayla actually runs up, tackles Viren. They both start falling, and Sim can fly, so Sim's okay. But they start falling, and then Callum jumps off the cliff too, says the words for the spell. Boom, he gets his wings. He does the wing spell, catches her. He's like, "Oh, because I love you, Rayla." Again, very nice stuff. Viren falls. They get back. They come back. They all get together. And actually, early in the season, Zim tried to bring his mom back to life by shocking her. It didn't really work then, but they're all together, celebrate, and they hear a rumbling. And Zim gets up and goes to where his mom is. The Dragon Queen wakes up, opens her eyes. She sees humans and elves standing together. She sees her son. she's just over. It's just so. It was such a cool moment to see how happy she was. She wasn't real bitter. She's like, oh, humans and elves are together. My baby's back. Like, what's going? Like, this is a mirror. Like, it was just a very cool way instead of her being bitter. Like, why are y'all together? Fuck humans. Y'all ain't shit. You killed my husband. What's wrong? It was very nice. It was very a nice way of kind of pulling it all together. Also, you find out what happened to Rayla's mom because they were deserters, but really they weren't. They fought to the bitter end. So Rayla kind of had that closure as well. So you get that. Viren wakes up in like this cave, and Claudia, and he's like, I survived the fall. Claudia's hair is more gray because I think the more dark man she uses, her hair goes from black to gray. So it's half black, half white, or half, yeah, it's more white than gray. And she's like, nah, you didn't survive the fall, Dad. So Claudia brought her back to life. And then you look over and the elf, I forget the elf's name, but he was like the caterpillar. He got bigger and now he's going into his cocoon. Now he's transformed into something else. And season 3 of The Dragon Prince ends. Whew. That's a pretty decent synopsis, I think. There's some things I didn't touch on because there's some stuff that's kind of cool that you should actually watch. But yeah, that's season 3. Season 4 is actually in turmoil. They don't know if they're going to bring it back, which is really sad. I really enjoyed it. It started off really slow, but the character development, the humor, the fighting, the magic, and just the art style in general makes Dragon Prince definitely a worthwhile watch. You should definitely throw it in your binge rotation on Netflix. Man, I'm kind of tired. That was a long episode. Anyway, thank you for checking out this episode of the Order of Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast so far. It's been a lot of fun. Again, Happy New Year. If I haven't said Happy New Year to you, this will be the first podcast in 2020. We made it to 2020, y'all. A new decade, new thrills, new chills, new lessons to be learned. But the one thing that doesn't change from 2015 all the way up to 2020, slicing, dicing, gaming. It's not just a motto, it's a lifestyle. I'll see you in the next podcast and the next video. Later. Have a good one.